What if I told you that you could turn the voices in your head into hard, cold cash? What if I told you that the one kid in your high school who did voices all the time and failed all the tests has a more rewarding career than you who spent half a decade getting some dumb degree? Voice acting was invented in way back BC by old weird guys who traveled from village to village, telling stories to the local dirt eaters, and who made voices for every character in their stories. Nowadays, it's weird guys and gals of numerous ages traveling from recording studio to recording studio, speaking sweet nothings into microphones, in whichever voice they're asked to, and then letting the studio goblins do their magic. Voice acting has been a very artistic interest of mine for a while, and it sorta just happened, and I thought I'd make a nice little video about it. Voice acting isn't the same as traditional acting, and it's not just because it's limited to just voices, but because it's almost unlimited in terms of the roles actors can play. A middle-aged white guy of below average height and build couldn't play a young, athletically built black man who does backflips in every scene, but he could voice him in an animated series. Even if the actor's age, race, gender, or physical build doesn't match the character they are playing, it doesn't matter as long as their voice does. A problem as old as acting itself is child actors. They fucking suck. No talent, unprofessional, barely any education, and won't stop asking for their neglectful parents. In voice acting, this is fixed by women. There are countless female voice actors who have made a career of voicing children and going goo goo gaga in various accents and dialects. The kid voice acting industry is one of the few industries that are female dominated, with only a few male exceptions, such as Alec, Safety Always Off Baldwin in Boss Baby. Voice acting sounds simple, but nothing ever is. Taking away the physical part of acting doesn't make voice acting easier, it's simply all carried by your voice now. The entire character now has to be made alive and expressed through voice alone, and because of that, a lot of voice acting isn't bound in realism, but more expressionistic and bombastic to compensate for the lack of physical and facial expressions. Just like silent film actors had to be more expressionistic in their performances in order to compensate for a lack of voice and vocal tones. These type of performances are my favorite, because they are the ones that truly capture and most importantly express who a character is to the audience. Even so-called realistic acting isn't really that realistic. It's a performance. Nobody acts in real life the way Leonardo, I don't date fully developed women, DiCaprio acts in his performances. It's like the uncanny valley. In Hollywood's pursuit of realism, the unrealistic parts of the performance sticks out even more. Voice acting is a lonely business. Voice actors rarely work or interact with each other. Doug Cockle, the English voice of Geralt of Rivia, Geralt, who speaks to just about everything with a pulse, never worked together with any of his fellow cast members, and spent his time working on the Witcher games locked in a sound booth, separated from the sound crew by soundproof glass and being told what to do through speakers. And I imagine during the breaks they made him stand and wait in the corner until he was allowed to speak again. But being in a booth all day, all alone, really lets you reflect about all the people who have hurt you, and that in the end, despite your greatest efforts, the world will continue its eternal cycle of pain and suffering. Oh shit, I'm sorry guys, do you want me to do the voice again? Morty, I hate women. There are different kinds of voice actors. There's the voice actors who can do so many different voices you swear it can't be the same person. Voice actors like Nolan North, famous for being the voice of Nathan Drake.
You make it sound so dirty.
But also Richtofen from Caught Zombies.
Yeah, this makes the big holes. I like big holes.
And Merasmus from TF2.
I have come.
And so many other roles that I can't even begin to comprehend. On the opposite side of the spectrum, you have those voice actors that are known for doing one voice extremely well, and hired most of the time to do just that one voice. That's Doug Cockle, whose Geralt voice has defined his career.
His genitals, we ought to inspect those.
And which he has done in multiple other roles and projects unrelated to The Witcher. Most voice actors do their own voice with variations. This is what Grey Delisle has done for a lot of her roles. Her role as Azula from Avatar.
I am a 400-foot-tall purple platypus bear with pink horns and silver wings.
Mandy from The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy.
Whatever you do, don't look behind you.
And her role as Vicky in The Fairly Odd Parents.
Well, if it isn't one of the twerp scouts out on his daily patrol.
Are all her voice done in slightly different ways. And then you of course have those few voice actors whose own voice is so good that it's made them an entire career, like J.K. Simmons' voice acting career.
Lemons. Lemons. Lemons!
Voice actors are specialists and masters of the respective field of acting, and appear in everything from doing voiceovers for commercials to animation and video games, and has moved people around the world. So why aren't they respected? Like the mediums they inhabit, voice actors don't seem to be taken seriously by a lot of people, even not by those they directly work with. Hideo Kojima on a whim threw David Hayter out with the bathwater, and replaced him with Kiefer Sutherland, who Kojima could barely afford, by the way, very apparent by the fact that Snake barely speaks during the whole of The Phantom Pain, despite being a very vocal protagonist in the past. I know this is in a lot of ways a very different Snake, but not at all does it feel intentional to have him be this silent. And the few times he does speak, Kiefer Sutherland is the most mid voice actor you've ever heard. And in more games, movies and series, more studios and developers opt to hire famous screen actors instead of professional voice actors, because it's not a totally different field, right? While we're at it, let's hire an abstract painter to do a baroque painting. It's the same thing. After all, both styles use paint. A game that is very guilty of this is Dishonored, who tried their damnness to fill out each major role with some kind of established screen actor for name value. And while those performances weren't bad, in fact some of them were very good, such as John Madsen as Dowd and Susan Sarandon as Granny Rags. But a lot of the celebrity voice acting were either serviceable or just plain dull. And you can hear the stark contrast from the celebrity voices to the voice actor voices. There are many good celebrity voice acting performances, like in Coraline, but there is also a lot of bad performances from otherwise good actors. But what are some good performances? Well, allow me to name drop some of my favorites. Doug Cockle as Geralt of Rivia, Gay Delisle as Azula and the Avatar cast in general, the entirety of 2 voice cast, all of Bioshock 1 and 2's voice cast, but especially Armin Shimmerman as Andrew Ryan, Anne Bobby as Tenenbaum, and Fenella Woolgar as Sophia Lamb, Dakota Fanning as Coraline in Coraline, and there are many more. Earlier I'd mentioned silent film in comparison to voice acting, and I would like to bring up theater. The characters in a play can be played by various different actors throughout the years, and each actor will bring a new interpretation of their character, and it's the same in voice acting, but in a different way. When a game or animated series drops, it will not only have an original cast, but numerous additional ones in different languages. Avatar has been fully translated and voiced into countless languages, and each one offers a different variation to the different characters. I love rewatching or replaying my favorite things in a new language in order to get something new from them. When I was taking Spanish class, I started rewatching Coraline in Spanish and absolutely loved it, and I started doing it to other stuff, like replaying Dishonored in Spanish and The Witcher 3 in Russian. It breathes new life into things and gives you new performances to enjoy. I do realize live action movies and series have dubbed versions as well, but that's just way too distracting. Seeing Bill Murray speak fluent Arabic while his lips still move in English? Yeah, that's not gonna hang with me, son. In conclusion, voice acting is badass, and we should all appreciate the craft and people behind it more.